Come one, come all. This is the worst marketing of 2025. In this video, I'm gonna go through a couple different categories, all the things that went wrong for companies in marketing and branding this year, including campaigns that didn't quite hit the mark or got rough backlash. I have a whole section on AI, both the use of AI and AI companies figuring out the world around them like newborn babies. We're gonna talk about rebrands that are under more scrutiny than ever, and we saw some really terrible ones this year. But it is not going to be all bad. I'm gonna walk through the good as well and present some counterpoints and positive stories when I can, because I don't wanna just be pure hating. These videos are designed to help you learn about marketing and branding in the world around you and how things are regarded and where brands stand today. My name is Oren, I'm a former CMO and now a creative strategist with brands around the world, working on preventing things like this from happening every day. And I do know if you worked on any of these campaigns that it is probably not your fault, instead it is the fault of leadership. I respect that. But overall, we are here to learn, have some fun, let's lock in. So first, I did this video last year in 2024 wearing the same hoodie. It is not leather, it is actually waxed cotton. And in the spirit of not gatekeeping, this is one that I actually designed for Fermat, a company that does funnels for e-commerce. We actually just did a new collection. I'll do a video in a few weeks about designing and putting that whole collection together. But in the spirit of not gatekeeping, this was actually made by Made Blanks. Made Blanks right here in LA does things like washes and wax finishes, etc. Custom for brands. If you want something like that, they're a great person to hit up. But who knows, maybe I'll wear this for the next 10 years every time I do this video. You never know. But let's start off in the wide world of rebrands. The wound is still fresh. The wound is still fresh from Cracker Barrel. This is a really interesting one. This took over all the news, took over all the media, and showed the era we're in now, the era where marketing is truly treated like a sport. In this rebrand, the President of the United States weighed in on Truth Social. And the President of the United States is weighing in on rebrands. You know that marketing and branding has become far more a center of cultural attention than ever before. I'm trying to picture either of the Bushes weigh in on the PepsiCo 400-page branding document and cannot imagine that happening. Cracker Barrel hired a consultancy called Profit, founded ironically by one of today's false prophets, Professor Galloway. No surprise where they got the culture of this, who then created something that was extremely out of touch with where culture is going. They removed Uncle Herschel from the barrel, took him out back and shot him like old Yeller, and gave you the yassified barrel. Now, this is actually a pretty decent identity system overall. If you were to, in a vortex, say, we are going to create this reusable barrel that's basically looks like a shield and many graphics. This is not a bad type lockup. Actually looks pretty good on some of the packaging that they did. The patterns are just fine. Colors are whatever. It is a totally approachable, rebranded, completely fine. The problem is that people have a real significant connection to Cracker Barrel, what it's like there, the stories that are there, and the people that want to go in it are getting a piece of history. And in our world of blanding right now, the public does not want you to bland, does not want you to go minimal. It wants stories, it wants characters. And the fact that they didn't realize this means that the people over at Profit and the people at Cracker Barrel did not actually talk to their customers. They did not put themselves in their customers' shoes. Instead, they asked, what would metropolitan people want, and gave them something that didn't resonate. Now, if this happened 3 years ago, you probably would have gotten maybe some minor outrage, maybe some clawback, but no one really would have cared. But now, branding more than ever is culture. And if you release something on this scale, and people care about your brand, there are high stakes, as we saw by this getting pretty much immediately called back, which was the right move. Related, the X Games announced new branding. And in a vacuum, this X behind this girl looks kind of fine. As you will quickly notice, if it is not on something really light like this black is going to get really lost in the background. This looks cheap, it looks techified, it lost all of its character. It obviously wasn't done by anyone who really took the extreme to heart. So bringing up the previous iteration of the X Games. If you grew up in my generation, the red X is absolutely iconic. And you have seen a number of the brands of this time actually create identities that last and that people like. Nitro Circus being a great example. I'm gonna go see Nitro Circus in December in Long Beach. Their tour posters are sick, the way they've maintained and adapted their branding and their styling is sick. They could have consulted anyone who did stuff like this, and note still dropping off some of that trademark red. Give people that dose of nostalgia, give people what they want. That's another example of hiring people that don't really care about the culture, who might act like they do or said, oh, but I used to skate, but they're not real fans. They don't really understand. And in this world, the world where one angry voice on a TikTok reaches millions of people, fandoms getting seen and being respected really matter. RIP to the X Games. But by contrast, a corporate rebrand done really well was Dominoes. Not gonna act like I'm the largest Dominoes fan in the world, but look at these boxes. Look at that gold. Look at the domino pieces. Look at the colors. They are social media friendly. They are bright. They are instantly recognizable. They extend the brand. They create some level of luxury. I want whatever that black and gold pizza box is. I'm sold just off GP. They also announced a new audio logo that went along with it. The audio logo is extended within that box there. The merchandise, look at this apron. Fire. And we'll give a big shout out to that because this is an example of one that's done well, recognizes the existing iconography, extends it, makes things that look naturally aesthetic, that tie in the brand across all things, because I mentioned it's not all bad. All right, so there are a lot of combos around AI in marketing right now. I'm going to show you one of the common ways a lot of agencies and teams, including what I work on, are using it almost every day for. My team works a lot in Leonardo, you'll see here. Leonardo aggregates a lot of different models you can create content under for images and video. Plus they have a great upscaler and then guides for things like style references and creating consistent characters, things like that. But quickly in my workflow, you've probably seen a lot of my short form videos now have backgrounds like this. We generate all these in Leonardo. And a lot of the quick images you will see me cut in and out of videos. We are using their Lucid Origin model all the time. Just grab little things to put into ads and into video backgrounds. It's ultra realistic and easy to use. And when you generate with it, you can generate 4 or more options. You can just have tons of options. You can alternate your size, etc. Great tool for that. But what I'm really here to talk about is hooks for ads. This is what a lot of marketing agencies are doing now for stuff going into meta ads and to fill in stuff inside of bigger content. So for instance, this is an ASMR generation for the intro of video. This is a more scientific video, actually zooming into a gummy product. This is a 3D animation of an outboard motor and how it works. Superhero infomercial. These are the kind of things that stop the first 3 seconds of a scroll. So a lot of brands are putting these in their ad accounts to help their ads get thumb stop. And then they will go into a more traditional ad from there. All these you're seeing here are all generated in Leonardo. Is one of the multiple models you can choose from they have. But why this is important to note these are for hooks is because this is the actual tactic that works. If you throw a completely AI ad in your ad account, that often does more harm than good. But the hook, using it for that first 3 seconds and transitioning into a visual is a practice that's working very well right now. So doing things like Santa getting pulled over, got another version of that. Boxes being pulled out. First person view content. Running a lot of newscasters right now. You'll see this is a common theme because it's a great feed disruptor. And then generating animations like the impact of a supplement on a brain, etc. This is really common things here. So in Leonardo, you can pick your model from the drop down. They're all good for different things. You can have more realistic models. You can have quicker models, etc. And experiment in finding your workflow. And there are ones that let you control like with start and end frames and do cinematic motion. They've got all the popular stuff in here with no watermarks. So if you are experimenting like this and you're using AI commonly inside content creation, ad creation, Leonardo is a great tool to be able to work in. You can learn more about them at the link in the description. And thanks so much to them for sponsoring this video. Speaking of not all bad, let's tap into the AI world here for a moment. We're going to talk about both campaigns that used AI for good or bad, and we're going to talk about AI companies figuring out marketing. So this is one of the most interesting times in the world for AI and AI in marketing. Because on one hand, marketing, branding people, and designers are using AI every day, absolutely constantly, using it to make excellent strides and do really amazing work. But then at the same time, if they use it wrong or issue one way, this way, or that way, it's an immediate backlash. It's about determining where the lines are. While at the same time, this new generation of AI companies has raised an absolute boat ton of money, more money than any of us can humanly comprehend, and they are spending that money marketing those companies. And in the spirit of moving fast and breaking things that's in the AI and venture capital industries right now, they are figuring out marketing on the fly and spending a lot of money to do it and attracting a lot of marketing and branding talent to burn that money for them. We get to see a lot play out in real time. We're going to kick off with Blackbird Spy Plane, a noted like Gen X fashion newsletter. Does these kind of deep dive exposés really respect the ownership's writing, even if it's for like a different generation. But they did this big call out of J. Crew for doing this photo shoot, which at first glance, you glance at this photo shoot, looks like a totally normal J. Crew photo shoot, throws back to the heyday of J. Crew. But upon closer examination, and the way examination only fashion bros will ever do, this guy's knee's not quite right. Or actually not even that, the lifelines of the boat should go the other way. Docks don't have fenders. There's too much rope The underleg's weird. His foot is bending backwards. Stripes are glitching out. They caught all these little things that would show people that this is AI. And again, if people weren't going ridiculously deep into this, no one would ever know. But here's what happened. They didn't mention this at all inside the campaign. They only credited it after the fact here. And they chose to recreate a very normal photography campaign, which wouldn't have cost them some obscene amount of money, and just replace it with a AI photographer. So a couple things that are happening here. First, the public doesn't love to be deceived. So going for deceit inside what you're doing with marketing is often not quite the right thing to lead with. And for many brands or many ads right now, when I'm scrolling my feed, you kind of assume AI on a lot of things. And that's okay. Your expectation is you could be watching anything. But for J. Crew, as an established company putting out a campaign like this, not giving you the expectation that they're trying something new or calling it out, is the wrong time to be working on something like this. You do not want to be on the front end as an established brand of something like this. And this is a conundrum we'll talk about as we get into Cartier. But J. Crew had already been on the outs. The last 5 to 8 years, I feel like, with the exception of the brief time when the creative director of Noah released their collection there, their marketing has been trashed. They have the wrong people guiding them. They have the wrong strategies. Women's is different, but men's has been a dumpster fire. Done completely wrong. Thriving off the little bit of nostalgia they have left and some of their price appropriate nature. But I mean, they had one time where they had billboards of random photographers doing scene work, the interview series. Everything is there's so much goodwill towards J. Crew that they let so much fly, but they've had a truly misinformed marketing team for a while now. But Cartier is another interesting example. Again, brands being on the forefront that don't need to be on the forefront and who don't have the critical eye to determine if it's good enough. And that's probably the biggest thing with J. Crew. I said a lot about J. Crew's marketing to basically say they don't have the eye. They don't have anyone social savvy enough, anyone creative direction savvy enough, still within that kind of aging vestige to be able to say that's not quite right, that's gonna get caught, that's gonna happen, that's not gonna work, people aren't gonna get it, this doesn't represent our brand well, right? There's no one there left. And with Cartier, it's surprisingly the same thing. They don't have anyone to understand how AI is applied. Is this good or bad? It says 328 likes. Their posts usually have thousands and thousands and thousands, but the plane is flying backwards and is hauling this Cartier sign backwards. It is just bad AI being done here. And if you look at Cartier, most of these big luxury fashion brands are actually patrons of VFX at the highest level. God, that image probably AI too. But they are employing VFX and 3D people to make really intricate, amazing stuff a lot of the time. So them going and doing that relatively poorly right away should not even be on their roadmap. They did not need to save whatever money that was being saved there. Now, this is where the conundrum is. This is where luxury and established brands are in such a problem, is they will get chastised for this. Cartier never should have done that. That is bad marketing on their part, no matter how much good CGI and VFX artists they employ after this. This is an excellent video. Who knows if this is AI involved in this or just pure VFX or not. Great storytelling video using graphics and the brand identity and doing it really well. But if they try to embrace this new wave, they are going to get called out for it. They are going to get fans and people who are mad and angry about it. But then at the other hand of this, new companies who use it savvily, who achieve love with this, are going to thrive. They're going to take market share. They're going to be able to do it cheaper. And so you're caught between a rock and a hard place with how the internet treats this nowadays. It's a really interesting indicator of our time. Because if I've noticed anything from working a lot with AI stuff on the internet, is that if people like it, if they think this is sick, it doesn't matter if it's AI, they're in. But if they have a reason to feel that they were misled by someone they trusted, they expect to be misled by the internet in general, it gets even worse. And this is gonna be a complex scenario. This Ferragamo video, I know several AI people who could recreate this shot for shot with absolutely no problem, whether this is true VFX or not. Content like this is in for a hard surprise. It's a complex time that we're in now. And every VFX artist has to really be looking at, do I give in and adopt this in my workflow? And where do I work through my rates? And that's one of the most complicated industries to be acting within right now, even though demand for that, because of social media, is at an all-time high. Now, to contrast this, Burberry leaned into its roots. They did these amazing Burberry weather reports. They understand social media. They understand what people want. They've crushed this rebrand arc they've been in with its peaks and waves, especially this last year, getting their stars to do these weather reports in front of the blue screen, having the right people, everyone from Nara Smith's husband, Lucky, etc., while also executing real life vignettes that people really resonate with. And even this, I haven't even seen this yet, the art direction of their VFX and animated stuff being pure excellence. But then this campaign where you've got famous celebrities, the types of things that Burberry can afford, having real conversations with each other in the rain jackets, Cartier could never. But enough about using AI, let's talk about AI itself. So you probably saw friend.com. spent $1 million taking over the subway in New York City. So their AI companion, they made all these subway ads. And these ads were designed to be graffitied. There'll be arguments. They didn't know it was going to happen. They didn't know that people were going to write all over them and call all over them. As someone who has bought a lot of out of home in my life, every agency that you are going to buy something from in the New York subway is going to tell you that's a lot of white space on your ad. You know what people are going to do on it? They're going to draw on it. Censor that one out for comedy. It is a known thing. This was known and expected and then generated a lot of attention because people posted these absolutely constantly because New York is the most triggerable place on earth. This is a thing that is talked about and used in marketing circles. As you know, if you do something in New York, you are going to get this immediate outcry and backlash of people with this certain level of voice, and you can basically move them to your whim. They will do whatever you trigger them to do, and it is a tool for marketers to use that Avi from Friend used excellently inside of this, so much so that people used Friend as Halloween costumes, including the graffiti of the Friend as the Halloween costume. And you would get the, the marketing for marketers of stuff like this, where Heineken then released the best way to make a Friend is over a beer response campaign, buying it in there that will get other marketers to chortle. But let's actually talk about Friend and was it bad marketing. I have here a Friend amulet.
How dare you?
Now, I purchased, and I'm going to do a review above in short form. I will give you the first look at the review on here. So this is an interesting product. People give it a lot of hate immediately. Why do you need someone to listen to all your combos? Why would you want to talk to anybody? I am the kind of person, fun fact, who has an inner narrative. I talk to myself. So why it makes it really easy to talk to YouTube. When I'm working through a problem or writing a script, I sit at my desk, or if you live in my neighborhood, you will notice I pace around my neighborhood and basically mutter to myself until the ideas are figured out. And so when I actually tried this product, it was quite good. I was able to talk to it with some pretty significant UX limitations and have a partner who could bring back some ideas and concepts and feedback based on what it knew that was actually pretty savvy. Now, that's the end of the good review. The potential of this is excellent. That idea is better than people think. The execution of it and its ability to talk was okay. Where they are going and the ability for a lot of people around the world to be able to have that level of companionship, I actually think is underrated. But then the execution is just bad. Like, I worked in industrial design and the creation of products for a long time. The agency that I helped start, Gwyn Partners, that does pure hardware UX and UI design, if they looked at the design of this, at the quality of what was put out for the price, at the actual, what was shown in the pictures versus what they actually got from the factory in China, they would be shocked. It is a UI UX travesty. The look, feel, and quality of this for the price. And if you get someone who knows what they're doing in China, you could have this resolved in a single EVT, DVT, PVT cycle. And then the actual UX of it, if you talk to it, it responds on the phone. And you can't ever really get into a dialogue. It'll only give you a sentence back or a thought. It's pretty limited into the scope of the intelligence it has. But that all said, the potential of that to have the fullest scope of intelligence, if it had the full backing of Claude inside of it and understood your voice, and you could talk to it in your headphones back and forth, and it would talk right back to you, there is a product there that actually has real resonance. But enough about that on the Friend tangent. The last of the AI campaigns we're going to talk about is OpenAI and Jony Ive. OpenAI paid $6.5 billion to acquire Jony Ive's company and then put out IO, which then they had to rescind because someone had a trademark for the name. And they promoted it by putting out this two friends conversation. So first, paying this much for this kind of relic of past design is a stretch, but I get they have the cash to do it. But B, they basically made this video where my guy Jony, legend, not taking anything away from that, wanders through the streets of San Francisco for a fucking minute to announce a new company at 150. Then they sit down and two of the most interesting, prolific people of our time have a, how long is this? A 7-minute conversation that is so boring, it is offensive. And the fact that whoever put this together could not get a more interesting conversation out of two people who probably have very interesting takes on any number of thousands of things, with the cost it took to produce it, the time out of these guys' days from pursuing whatever great technological feats they're going after, warrants this some of the worst marketing of 2025. And that bridges us, good people, into campaigns. We all remember the American Eagle Good Genes campaign. And it's interesting, you'll notice 10 million views in. God, it's only been 3 months. Time is a fucking flat circle, let me tell you that. 10 million views, it is still up. American Eagle has the entire time said, you know what? We're just gonna run with this. We do not care what this backlash looks like. We paid this money for Sydney Sweeney. We are running this campaign. Sydney Sweeney has continued rampaging through the internet with zero impact to whatever it is she is doing. And American Eagle got an awful lot of notoriety from it. But the simple fact they didn't go through and check that, maybe they got the positive benefit of it, but it really was one of those like, you focus group this to just a few people, they'll be like, that's kind of racist, and that probably would have been pulled. And I get it. If I was in that group, if I was sitting around this table and I was like, is this ad gonna get crazy backlash? Would it have popped up? Like maybe in the back corner of the mind, but someone would have had to convince me, right? But whoever had to get convinced there or was doing the convincing was able to get it through, and they got crucified. But will this really have any tangible impact on American Eagle that can't be brought back with a great product or a great campaign? I doubt it. But the response, Gap with Cat's Eye. So basically, they then released this Cat's Eye Better in Denim campaign, and people thought it was a response to Sydney Sweeney. But Gap does a denim campaign almost every year. I actually made a video on TikTok about when they did this with Tyla. I thought it was ushering kind of a new era. They did it, Vayner was the agency, I believe, or at least the agency promoting the campaign. Tyla was doing it for Khaki or whatever, but they had their fall campaign, had a dance music video. They were doing what Gap does. But things like this take a ton of time to produce. Getting the rights to Khalees's milkshake is probably a multi-month process. Not to mention choreography and the deals and back and forth and management and filming and release and all that. Like Gap spends an inordinate amount of time producing these campaigns, and worth it. 47 million views, but it got 47 million views, and the positive response it got because of the luck of timing of American Eagle shooting themselves in the foot beforehand. But this allowed them to thrive in the moment of, hey, we do this every year. We're already in here. We are able to make up by doing a good campaign. If our competitors make bad campaigns, we actually get a multiplier. And that is a very much a 2025 thing that if you see your competition slipping, is worth thinking about and taking advantage of. I do want to shout out whoever chose Cat's Eye for the campaign. You're the real MVP. Moving on to On Running and Zendaya. This is one of the worst celebrity endorsements of all time, in my opinion. Shop the edit. There's not a single picture of her on the edit. Here we go. No, we got one. Explore the campaign. All right, linking to explore the campaign. So look, why is this bad? She has basically stated she's not a runner. She's not an athlete. She's inside these visuals, dancing, stretching. There is not the fit between the two of them. And while she's an amazing face to represent a brand and appeals to a huge swath of people of all ages, backgrounds across the world, she has posted the vast majority of on their account. They have gotten very little love from her while investing an absolute ton. They've gotten one carousel of her posts. And it's funny when in 2024, in this multi-year deal, they've gotten one post on her socials about that brand. It's got 5 million likes. So again, it's not like this is a flop or anything. But when you look at today's day and age, how do you want to cement yourself in your brand? You want real fits. You want people that really live, breathe, and thrive inside the product, where they're going to show up in it naturally, where they're going to embrace it and love it and want to be a part of it. The community online can feel the organic nature of a campaign. It doesn't mean it could fail. It doesn't mean it's the worst. But it does mean it's missing the potential size of the prize of what a aligned collaboration and aligned campaign could do. And On, at a really critical point inside its business venture, where it's done a lot of good. On's an amazing brand. I buy On. They've done an excellent job. The Loewe collab is perfect. The post-archive faction stuff was amazing. But these are the decisions that basically determine whether they are able to, how much of a share they can carve out of the Nikes, Lululemons of the world. But at the same time, what I like to contrast this with is the organic love that they get. So this, we may remember, Ibiza Final Boss. Yes, this happened this year. Again, time is a flat circle. Wearing On Running, big On logo. One of his most prominent features, Halloween costumes of this guy feature the On Running tank top. There's a natural ubiquity. This guy got so many views for On Running that damn near rivaled the extent of the Zendaya campaign. I don't even want to label that worse. It's not the worst. Just a cautionary tale for everyone on how to look at this. Diving into the worst, Elf dragged for a controversial new campaign starring Matt Rife. So Elf, a purveyor of cheap cosmetics, noted purchaser of Rhode. He's a controversial comedian for domestic abuse jokes, something worth being controversial over. And Elf choosing him, having chosen him before, is just a surefire sign of someone having no idea what their consumers actually like or feel or what's going on the internet for a company that's usually very savvy. And if a company is usually very savvy, and Elf is savvy, Elf was sending the dude who was on the boat from Portland to Hawaii or whatever packages via helicopter. They're online. There are terminally online people at Elf. And so this meant that they knew it. People knew. People brought this up. It was a thing. People were like, we shouldn't use this. And someone chose to do it anyway. And that is the nature of how really bad campaigns happen. Similarity, there's ones that are just not built right for the modern era. Gatorade did this Let Her Cook campaign with the WNBA. Right idea. They are taking a unempowering line and empowering it. They are flipping around this concept. They're taking a popular phrase, they're applying it here, but it opened them up to online a lot of misogyny, And people be like, let her cook a baked potato for me this evening, right? A lot of TikToks of that nature, people opening up to the line, the ability to then put down what Gatorade is trying to make right. And I see where they're going. It's actually is themed correct. The right idea of flipping a phrase or a circumstance for an exciting time. But in our current world, you have to think about what people are going to do with it and be ahead of it, especially when you're doing something that's relatively controversial like this. That said, love the WNBA, great product, love Gatorade, and they'll survive to live another day. Bring up Saratoga water. Saratoga water came up this year because this guy, again, this happened this year. I know that's terrifying. The dude dumping his face in the Saratoga water. Saratoga water did not respond that weekend. Made posts a couple days later, still did not embrace this kind of world that they've entered into. Their response in the marketing end of this, they have just are a company that's not aware of what's going on in culture, not able to act on it, and why teams need to hire social savvy people to actually be able to put work in on things like this. But what they did do, and what you've noticed, is they used that ubiquity in store. So the salespeople at this company were savvy. If you go into any store that carried Saratoga water, it is front and center. They got end caps, they got in aisle, they are prominent placement. They have expanded their shelf space. Their sales team was like, look at our social media impressions, put us front and center. We're not going to pay a dime for it. You are going to do it because it's going to move you a hell of a lot of water. And they were completely correct. And this is something to call out for any of you. If you're in the middle of a viral moment like that, give your sales team the ability to have a field day with it. Because I guarantee you, go to accounts when you're in the middle of that, you can get a lot of premium placement. Speaking of navigating crises, we want to talk about Duolingo. So when I made a video about the best marketing campaigns in history a while back, and call out the Duolingo owl. It's one of the best things done, especially by an education brand. Now, Duolingo had its controversy, and now it's continuing to try and play out the Duolingo owl, but it doesn't have the same efficacy. And so you're watching this like social team, who I feel for, try to get the same views and the same virality and concoct this same narrative using these same characters while people are just trashing it constantly online. They're caught in that really hard place of they had a amazing campaign and a really fun thing before, and now they gotta try and work through that middle ground of it, flopping a lot more than they were, getting constant backlash, losing their kind of cultural identity. This is a rough one, and one I did not expect to take the turn it did from a company that was doing it so well. But to call out a couple good campaigns, especially good campaigns that are cheap, Opal. So Rachel here, shout out Rachel, excellent newsletter that she runs if you are a social media manager interested in that. She calls out Opal, which is a company to helps you prevent your screen time. They put a creator on this account, Olivia Unplugged, talking to you about how to stop feeling tired all the time, how to cure your phone addiction. She's doing whiteboard videos and helping people with their lives. And all of it was just a plug for Opal. So with the cost of hiring this one creator, and people experiment like this all the time, this is a $3K to a $10K a month fucking project. As someone who has done this 50 times plus on different things. This hit right. It was the right content. It was the right creator. It was the right timing. But this is not an expensive endeavor for a marketing company of any size. If you get the right concept, you execute it correctly, and it has product market fit with what you're promoting, and you do TikTok, something like this correctly, you can really win with a small budget. And I want to call out Opal for doing that. And guess what? If it hadn't worked, they would have spent that money for a couple months, and then no one would even have known it was an Opal project because it was on this account. I also want to give a shout out to Claude, my friend Ashwin, calling out how bad Claude's copy was last year. Move your work up into the Claude. That makes no sense. They had a series of taglines in their out of home that were frankly atrocious. But then this year, when they chose to release their video ad, they created an excellent piece positioning Claude as a tool for the thinkers, a tool for people doing real world applications, a tool for artists. Most importantly, you go through this video, you see a phone like once, maybe twice, of people doing real world things, solving complex stuff with an excellent score, excellent visuals, presented amazing music choice, a truly excellent piece of advertising. And I love to see companies graduate from when you're like, ooh, to, oh, they absolutely nailed it. It's great to see somebody win. And the last note you were going to hear me end on, something that we've seen en masse this year that's worth talking about, that is the gambling ad takeover. You are inundated. Every podcast is brought to you by FanDuel or DraftKings. Stake logos are absolutely everywhere. Weird ads for whatever type of gambling stuff are just popping up absolutely everywhere. But sports betting in particular, sports gambling, is paying for and funding this massive expansion of sports media that we see on TikTok, all of these crazy ads, funding all these podcasts. And when I go and talk to younger people, and my younger people watching, I hear a lot that they actually lose and spend a lot of money on, right? If you hear anyone say, I won a little bit, it means they lost. If you hear anyone say they broke even, it means they lost even more. And there are a lot of young men in particular who are running up with meme stocks, who are buying day trading courses from like TJR type shit, who are doing sports betting and trying to run 3-leg parlays. And when you look at how do I ever get enough funds to start a business or travel and do something interesting or get a down payment on a house or start a family, it comes from having enough money to do something entrepreneurial, to give it a shot at something, to start your brand, to start an agency, to do a creative thing, whatever. And if that money is going to sports betting, when you're getting, and I understand it, you're getting inundated 24/7, your friends, your group chat, every podcast that you listen to, every piece of sports media is telling you gamble, gamble, gamble. That's truly, when we look at the worst marketing of 2025, is what that legislation and the companies pursuing have chosen to do to the world around them and are using in terms of how they get in front of young men. And if you are in the middle of that, or you are in too deep on that, you're never going to get out. That win is not going to come. You've got to just wake up one day and say, I am going to put that time and money and resources and dollars into what is going to get me to the next level. It's the end of my soliloquy, but I cannot encourage you more to invest that into yourself. I'm sure I missed a lot of terrible marketing of the year. Feel free to comment that or any of your favorite campaigns down below. Maybe we'll recap the best marketing of 2025 in a future video. This video came out, I probably just hit 100K before this video came out. So thank you everyone who watches this channel and supports it. Please follow along because I'm on a quest to be the biggest marketing channel in the world. I don't know if I'm really on that quest, but I'm enjoying the time that we're having along the way, spending it with all of you and talking about these topics. Thank y'all so much for watching.